there, I'm Glenn Athy. Welcome to the Your Local Economy Forum series of podcasts and videos. There are 16 episodes which aim to introduce the theory and practice of local economic development. We have two guiding principles for this video series and the way we work, and that is economic development builds prosperous, inclusive communities that are sustainable. And the other guiding principle is it's my mission to help build great economic development organizations. Episode 3 in Series 1 is an introduction to local economic development functions. What we're going to talk about today is the main functions of local economic development. We'll talk a little bit about why the concern for local and regional economic development, and then we'll go through each function briefly one by one. And we'll talk about intelligence and strategy, industries, enterprise, inward investment, innovation, labour markets, education and skills, poverty and inequalities, place-based regeneration, the green economy, and institutions. It should be noted that there are in-depth episodes on each of these functions. This video is just an introduction and an overview. So why are we concerned about local economies? As we can see on the map on the left, there are stark differences in the annual nominal rate of GVA growth, or economic growth, in local areas in the UK over a 20-year period. On the right-hand map, there's also differences in the rate of job growth, and they're just as wide. So we've seen uneven growth rates, and this has led to uneven levels of economic prosperity, as measured by economic output per head, or GVA per head. On the map on the left, we can see massive disparities, with the lowest around £16,000 in GVA per head, and the highest being £9 million per head. There are also stark differences in productivity, as illustrated in the right-hand map, which shows GVA per hour worked. Being informed about your economy is vital. Evidence and analysis are critical to informing strategic choices, developing projects, and delivery. How do organisations typically remain or become informed about their local economy? Well, some conduct one-off studies and reviews. Others conduct more regular reviews of their local economy every 2 or 3 years. Some organisations have intelligence or research teams who can react to situations or needs. At the advanced level, some regions or cities have research observatories, which is a public platform and service with a research programme and some accessible information about their local or regional economy. It can also conduct deep dive research on specific subjects such as industries or artificial intelligence, for example. A lot of doing research and analysis is about asking questions and seeking to answer them. And there's some questions here within the yellow box, such as what are your skills and assets? Is your economy performing well or badly? What kinds of jobs are growing? What kinds of jobs are disappearing? What's the state of your local industries and big employers? How entrepreneurial is your local area? And does this matter for your economic performance? How has your economy changed? And how have you built this understanding into your economic strategies and your local economic development services? For example, this is some work I did for a region in recent years, and I've summarised it here. This region's particular economy has performed quite poorly, despite having some really successful technology-related sectors and having a good reputation. We analysed a lot of information, intelligence, and statistics about local economic performance, comparing them to the national economic performance, and we looked at the performance of local policies and programmes. When we looked at the economic evidence and trends, economic performance was quite poor. FDI was particularly poor in terms of investments won compared to other regions. And also, we looked at the wider dynamics. There were some serious risks ahead. The particular part of the UK isn't really going to be much of a priority for the next UK government due to where it is. Another issue is that the region has operated in a very cluttered and complex policy and delivery environment. And the organisation also had reputational challenges. Its track record of performance was not great. Like many economic development organisations, it said it wanted to be the best in the UK, but it needed to get to good first before it could become great. It's also a lot of variety in terms of its geography, a mix of rural and urban areas, and real mixes in terms of industries and the level of sophistication or value added between them. The region's also facing the challenge of climate change, like many others, and having a challenge really articulating and understanding what this means for the local economy and what they should do differently. If you can't present analysis, facts, and figures, you can't really sell your region. It's the first thing an FDI inquiry does, or an international company. It asks for your headline economic indicators about performance, assets, strengths. They might want detailed information on workforce skills. And it's the same if you want money from central or federal government. You need to build a case and you need to use evidence. Industrial restructuring and change is a major trigger and preoccupation of local and regional economic development organisations and initiatives. For example, the UK lost 3.3 million manufacturing jobs over a 20-year period during the 1970s and 80s, and it lost other primary jobs such as coal mining. There was a decision to pursue sectors such as financial and professional services. A lot of the activities that local economic development deals with is the pain of this economic restructuring. For example, UK unemployment reached 11.9% by 1984, and this was distributed unevenly in terms of how much localities were impacted. We also see countries such as South Korea becoming major leaders in terms of industries such as automotive and technology, and they've come from nowhere. They had no comparative advantages or natural resources or particular skills in the 1950s. Governments usually intervene. Even the Thatcher government in the 1980s in the UK made some massive interventions in industries and with companies. Some countries and regions say they're not going to do anything. They're going to let the market decide what to do and choose the best outcome. But even this in itself will make other sectors develop at faster rates. And this is called doom to choose, a concept from some Harvard economists, that industrial policy is something which happens whether you actively choose to prioritize some industries or not. Supporting entrepreneurship and enterprise has been a significant activity for many local and regional economic development organisations. The motivations are often encouraging economic diversification, new areas of growth and job creation, or that their localities perhaps are dominated by large employers in traditional industries and their economies lack some innovation, dynamism, diversity, or resilience. Support can range from basic information to advice to grants and other services. High growth businesses could be targeted, such as through business accelerators. And there's also support for SMEs and companies to trade internationally and to build exports. Attracting foreign direct investment is a quite traditional idea in local economic development. However, doing it well is a real challenge and a real dedication of resources, services, and skills. You need a vision and mission statement, strategic objectives. You need to benchmark your locality against other areas to kind of understand what your competitive offer is. You may need to develop the product, and this may mean developing sites or premises or skills in your workforce. You have to engage in marketing and promotion. You may have to have sector and market strategies because a lot of the lens of FDI attraction occurs through sectors and industries. You obviously need resources, you need a team, you need to have some targets, an action plan, and then you need to actually deliver to generate leads, companies that may be interested in investing in your locality, and having a response team to deal with them, show them around, negotiate incentives, for example. After all this has been done, it needs to have been done in a credible way, i.e., your proposition stands up in the marketplace. They'll soon see through it if it doesn't. FDI is also very competitive, and there's some major players and some very sophisticated teams who are very good at it. Promoting innovation is key to many local economic development programs and approaches. It could be about commercializing existing research strengths in universities or research institutes, building science parks, incubators, or workspace, linking scientific expertise and research to entrepreneurship. There's also things like disruptive innovation, which is about bringing technological solutions and innovations into new sectors or places or applications. Often there's support to help SMEs with proving their concept in terms of does it work? Can it be manufactured? Can it be deployed in a market? And then proof of market to understand, will it make a return? Is it something you can sell? Do people want to buy it? In the UK, there's lots of innovation initiatives, services, and grants. Labour markets have got some unique features when you think about them. Employers and workers, they tend to operate in an open market, and workers are mobile. They can choose when and where to deploy their labour. Employers and individuals, they have imperfect information about skills, qualifications, and jobs. And local labour markets are not bounded, they tend to be open. Travel to work areas are where a lot of workers live and work. I think critically, the economy and labour market are dynamic, they change. We really need to understand how they're changing and what the implications are. Local interventions are often aimed at helping people into work. Often these people are unemployed or out of work, or they may just want to progress in the workplace and access a more highly skilled job. So interventions often include helping people into work, removing some of the barriers, and also it could be involve something like enterprise education or improving the transition from education into work. And some of the interventions can be about getting unemployed and inactive people back into work. Skills have also got some unique features. Skills reside with workers, and they can be difficult to codify. We sometimes try to codify them with qualifications, but they are proxies for skills. Education providers traditionally they require long lead times to change education and skills provision, and some employers find it difficult to understand their own skills needs fully, and they find it difficult to understand the skills system or what qualifications actually mean. Again, skills requirements and skills formation can often be dynamic and can change. There's a lot of arguments for building the skills base. It's often an area that the market wouldn't really do on its own, and there's a need for some public sector intervention. There are a lot of benefits, but there are a lot of costs and a lot of things to consider. A wide range of activities have been undertaken in the past to address inequalities and poverty, because they exist in localities, cities, and regions. There's initiatives such as minimum wage and a living wage, or employer charters, which try to lock in employers into good behaviours and good HR policies. And there's other things like local labour schemes, which can be part of local construction projects. And there's also initiatives to alleviate poverty, to help people into work, and particularly those who've been long-term unemployed. Much of the past activity and budget in countries such as the UK has been based on land and property development. This has often been about trying to deal with deindustrialisation and large areas of land that have been previously used for manufacturing or other industries but are now derelict or out of use. And often these sites may be in strategic areas but need regenerated through activities such as land assembly, the removal of pollution and land remediation, new infrastructure and development, or the seed funding of new properties. Concepts have changed recently, such as the rise of the 15-minute city and about the attractiveness to talent, which has occurred after COVID-19 and the rise in agile or remote working. The green economy is a big challenge. If we look at what is a green economy, what does it look like? It represents some fundamental changes in the way society would operate and the economy would operate. It involves things like creating energy efficient buildings and neighbourhoods, zero carbon transport, public transport, sustainable consumption, which involves a lot more recycling, the circular economy, resource efficiency, clean energy, and sustainable natural ecosystems. When you unpack this all, it's quite a significant transformation. Green industries are certainly growing and they're by and large well paid. There's plenty of analysis to support that. But I think what we lack is a real roadmaps, programs, activities, practical measures to get there. There's many different kinds of institutions, organisations who deal with and deliver local economic development. They usually operate within quite highly politicised environments. They manage multiple relationships. They juggle resources and funding. They could be multifunctional, or they may be very focused on one or two functions, such as FDI or innovation, for example. They can have a different operational ethos. They can be very market-led, innovative, or acquisitive, or they can be very much reflect a traditional public sector approach. So, just to recap what we've covered today. We've covered why local economic development is important. We've covered most of the functions involved in local economic development, policy, strategy, and delivery. There are 16 episodes in this series, ranging from topics such as the principles of economic development to the history of UK local economic development to the functional areas you see on the slide. And these videos will be released over the next few months. This is part of a series of videos and podcasts about local economic development. There are 16 episodes ranging from topics such as the principles of economic development to the UK's history of local and regional economic development to the main economic development functions such as strategy, enterprise, inward investment, innovation, and labour markets. So these videos will be released over the next few months, and you will have reminders if you sign up for the mailing list. And you can find details on the YouTube and website links below. Thank you. So please remember to give the videos a like if you think they're useful and you think other people would benefit.